Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. It's Friday, October the 5th. The year is 2018. Let's talk trading. We got the weekly wrap up, and it's NFP day. Hope you fellow traders had a really nice NFP day. And if you employed money and risk management, you would have had a good one, or at least not an awful one. On the monthly, you can see it looks like the euro yen is trying to pull back to about the previous month's midpoint. We're 12 pips above. Right there, you see we're still moving lower on the month. And on the week, you see here we broke out of the previous week's low. Right there, 56 pips at the moment. So once again, just taking these very simple trades. You go back to the month, you see you would have out of the upper wick zone there, 125 pips to the good. If you like trading the weekly, you'd be 53 pips to the good. On the daily right now, we're only 5 pips. Actually 10 pips to the good. We're 5 pips off that low. You can see here on the daily range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Above 100, 2 actually over 200. The new beast, the pound, New Zealand, 290. Just a lot of movement in these pound pairs. So for those of you who like trading the pound pairs, you traders should really be draining those banks there. So right there, once again on the daily, now we're 6 pips up. So you know we're in that rat zone. Okay, pivot point was right above the open. No real bias, strong bias there. But if right there you had a buy zone trade, that right here should have resulted in profit. Short trade should have resulted in profit. There was a trigger. If you're stopping out at the open, there would have been a loss. Here we go again. Another trigger. You see here we opened in it, but then as we left it, there you go. There was money to be made there. You're green in the sell zone, so that's not a sell. Here was a buy for a few pips and a sell for a few pips. Another buy for pips right here. When do you take profit? Right there when it made that high and then started coming back into the wick zone, just take the profit off the table. And here we go. Nice short. Nice profit there for those who took it. And you can see here we're crawling out of the rat zone. And right here, once again, we're crawling out of the rat zone. So it's the top of the hour. So right here, it made a low. So there's the lowest open. Once again, pivot was not much to speak of. So there you go. Pivots, missed pivot, missed pivot, missed pivot. Only 3 this year. And right here, okay, we're right there. We're green at the line. Larry live trade. So there you go. Price action. There was a 2 ball, red at the line. 1 ball, green at the line. I mean, we do this every day. I was reading a thread where the guy was talking about how, or I guess it wasn't a thread, I was just reading a post, and he was talking about, simple isn't always better. I mean, which I can understand, because there's always, technologies making improvements. He says, a rubber wheel with air is much better than a wooden wheel. Can't argue that, and he was saying how he uses his technology, and if you take away something, that's like taking the scope off of his sniper rifle. He could still kill, but, he just won't be as accurate. There's a lot of sense. It's kind of like, you can take away my little indicator here, You got to remember, I've only had this indicator, I just built it this year. But, the method behind it, I've been using for a while. It was something I observed. If you hit the F9 key, it's right here. And so you see right here when the bid got above that peak, I said, hey, it's starting, the buying just kicked in. And then you see here, it ran up for a couple of pips there. And then you see right here, when the selling kicked in right there and went below, and then it was starting to sell. But, you don't just use that by itself. You use it in conjunction with a few other things. So it's kind of like having a scope on the rifle. So it's just like with the semaphore indicator here. Yeah, let me pop up the list so you guys. And the spread dots is that one, and it paints these dots here. I use the star icon, or whatever you want to call it, wingding. And then we got the 3 levels easy that I slightly modified, tongue in cheek slightly. It's been extensively modified, but for our purposes, you could just use the original without my modifications. And then here, the other indicator here is just the sweet spots gold that I modified, put the price boxes on, just make it easier for the user. And you see here right now, the Larry live trading right here, you're right at break even there if you would, if you got in at the ask. But if you wait to the bid now, you'd be jumping in right here. And thing is, though, it might not be a good idea to jump in because you can see it's just waiting, selling, waiting, selling. So it's stalled. But maybe when the buying kicks in, because it's right here, obviously somebody's been loading up. Okay, they're loading up. Once again, you hit F9, you can see here, they're just loading up, loading up, loading up. Somebody's buying, and as you can see, it might say selling, but remember, somebody's buying when somebody's selling, and somebody's selling when somebody's buying. And all this saying is where the dots are in relation to the peaks and valleys. And remember, we talked about big bars. So you see these big bars. It wouldn't surprise me if price comes back up to this level to, recover these big bars, especially this one right here. And looking at the lines here. Oh, there was something I neglected to talk about, I believe. Let me go back here. The fills, the last day got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that haven't filled. And once again, if you notice, we have the New Zealand dollar, but then we have New Zealand CAD, Euro CAD, CAD Swissy, and the Aussie CAD. So 4 out of the 5 were the CAD pair. So once again, something was going on with Canadian. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. Previous daily session, horizontal lines, and when the NFP came out, once again, just trading at the candle color at the horizontal lines proved to be profitable here. So let's see, this is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So right here, taking that, you would have got that after the NFP coming back the other way. You can see you got it both ways. Wick zone, once again, even with the NFP, it left the wick zone here, left the wick zone afterwards there. Once again, profitable trades. And right here, we just put in a lowest open. I showed you that a few charts ago, and there's your lowest open right now, good for about 13 pips. And that would have been a Larry live trade had we been there. Okay, so you see here, you would have just had to jump in because it put in a new low, came back, and then just turned right around. And once again, there's that big bar on the 15-minute chart looking to see if we can recover all of that. And inventory reduction bars, there was one long trigger here, put in, good for maybe 2 handfuls of pips. The short triggers were there, and you can see there was profit to be had on the short triggers. And I guess there's a couple of traders out there that are using the this inventory reduction bar system that I discovered. I think is it Ron Howard or Ron Hoffman or whoever it is. I don't remember. I have to look at the documentation. But they're using it profitably. Well, here we go. The previous daily, weekly, monthly, open, high, low lines. You can see how the buying turned and kicked in and pushed the price up. Once again, a Larry live trade. Here's that daily low, previous daily low. And right now, we're about 5 pips to the good on that one. So you see here, depending on which method or methods you're choosing to use and employ in your trading, there you have it. I mean, candle color, add a line. That's pretty simple. The other guy, I think he said he uses 1 minute chart and the tick chart, and he talked about some MACD and non-lagging MACD indicator, which are squigglies, and I think that was it. The TDI is a squiggly and moving averages is a squiggly. But if it works for him, great. Nothing against it. Can't say a thing against it. Not here to denigrate other traders and their methods. It's just sometimes though they say things that make me laugh, so and just kind of poke fun at them. And some people take things pretty seriously. In fact, I was having a conversation with somebody and talking about, most of the things that are going on are the stories we tell ourselves. It's one newsletter or email newsletter, whatever you call it. They put out one today, and I was reading it earlier, and it said something, or actually it was in a video. They said 98% of the problems aren't really problems, but the way we think about the situation. And I don't know if it's as high as 90. I'd say maybe, use the 80-20 rule. Maybe, 4 out of 5 problems, or maybe 9 out of 10. It depends. But they really aren't problems. They're just the way you look at things. Like if you've got a teenager and their room is messy. Is the messy room really a problem? Or is it just a story that you're telling yourself that it's a problem? I mean, it's kind of like in trading. People want to know what's the best time frame to trade. It's like the price is the same on all the charts. Why do I choose the hour? Simply because, and I think I've explained this, maybe it was years ago, but when you look at the range of an hourly candle, you see there's an opportunity to probably make 5 pips or so in those trades. Sometimes, you can see here some opportunities are better than others. But let's see, if we go back to the price action, if we flip this over to, let's see, sweet spots, gold, going to do this real quick or I'll run out of time. If we change that to a 5, you can see here what I'm talking about. These candles cut usually 2 or more lines, so that's your 5. See here on the tick chart, we've had some nice movement. Einstein line, here's a short, there's a long. Once again, you can use the spread dots indicator to tell you what's going on, or just hit F9 and you can see for yourself. So that's it, fellow traders. I hope you had a really great week. Hope you had a great NFP day. And just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So continue trading the banks and then have yourselves a great weekend. See you Next week.